Yo, 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 happy people. How are you, everybody? So I just did an inner dance session number 13, 14. It was quite unexpected. I met somebody yesterday. We had an awesome conversation about crystals and about energy. And today I had this impulse to offer inner dance. So I offered, and the person was open to it. So after a bit of planning, and it all came together. So she was staying in a hotel room, so it was like bringing my setup, bringing my stones with me, bringing the speaker, Palo Santo. So I'm in this room, and it's quite a small room, so I'm like, I brought a yoga mat for her. I was like, so where are we gonna do this? And she's like, can we do it on the bed? I was like, yeah, sure, just lay down on the bed. I put on some crystals, and then just said, lay down and just close your eyes. You might hear things, you might feel things, you might hear me. Just let it all happen. Let it all happen, and just be in with the process. She was like, okay. So I started the music, and so today I've been doing this non-dual meditation that my friend Sophie recommended to me. It's by House of Solomon. It's like a 10-minute guided meditation. Usually I use Muji's The Invitation before I do a session, but this time I used this one, and I liked it. It was very subtle, very soft, very open. So the moment the music started, it's like my eyes close and I don't do anything. Like, honestly, I don't know what to do. I know things that I can do. I know things that I should do, but I don't know what to do. So just close my eyes, and like there's a concentration of energy like coming together, and it's just like focusing, and there's a frequency that's like, it's like a tuning, and it's just like I'm getting the frequency through, and it's like aligning my body with the frequency, and all of a sudden I open my eyes and my body is in this flow state, and all of a sudden I know intuitively I should move to her feet, I should move to her hips, to her knees, to her put my hands here. All of a sudden my hands started to move here, to like sometimes I would see images of like energy behaving in a certain pattern, or like I would have these ideas, but actually I don't know if that's what's happening or not. Like my mind is still trying to play catch up, right? It wants to understand the process, it wants to give meaning to the process, it wants to add context to whatever's happening. But the truth is, I don't know what's happening. I just know that energy is moving and my body is being used as an instrument. Right? Does that sound right? Sounds about right. Maybe let me correct that. It's like my awareness is being like, because I'm facilitating the space, my awareness is like open to connect to a different awareness, or a different energy source, or a different kind of energy field, by which then the field can use my body, my energy, my whatever capabilities there are here in this body, mind, spirit organism, to work with the participant. That sounds about right. Yeah. So that's happening, or maybe not. So forget about that. But yeah, I don't know, actually. I really don't know. But whenever the process is happening, it feels so aligned. There's just like every movement is perfect. There's a flow of perfection in every movement. There's a There's an intelligence in every movement. Like nothing is wasted. And I love it. It's like at certain points, like putting the hands on the elbow or on the heart or on the belly, and then it's like there's a feeling in tuning into whatever's there, and I feel energy like streaming through the body. And I must say, like, this is what my mind is thinking, because I've done a reiki training before. It's like, in a way, reiki, or the tool of reiki, is also being used, because I noticed that, you know, besides the energy being moved and hands waving and all that kind of stuff, there's also a lot of just putting the hands and feeling energy streaming through the hands into the body. And then it's like whenever the energy is streaming like through a channel into the body, I drop into my heart and I just breathe in this emptiness, in this neutral state. And there's like an awareness, like a knowing of whatever's happening in the body. Like I get this very intuitive sense of like sensing the whole body and sensing the insides of the bodies, of the energy in the body, the structure of the body. And I sense emotions. I sense whatever is there actively. But I don't know what to do with it. But I do sense it, and then the next movement happens. Go there, put your hands there, make movements here, put hands here, put some pressure there, put some pressure here. And there's a point where I noticed like there was my hands, they went up, and I was like saying that I wanted to tap into the energy of Cap, right? It was like, can I allow the energy of Cap to stream through me into this person? And I asked it 2 or 3 times, and I remember seeing like this white dragon or serpent energy from a session that I seen it in, like coming into me and then coming into the person. And as soon as that happened, like obviously there was also a lot of sounds, like a lot of whistling, a lot of like these kind of sounds, very like energetically, frequentially, very like charged sounds. I didn't know what they mean, but it was happening. And whenever, like as soon as that energy of that white dragon or serpent was like present there, it was different. Like the session became different. All of a sudden there was a lightness, and it was like a lighter flow. It was like a flow where it was less dense, and there was just like very soft, gentle movements, very soft, gentle touches. There was less me trying or putting or allowing or waiting, and more of just putting and releasing, putting and releasing, moving and releasing. At certain points, like I could sense a certain hurt inside of that person. Like my body also almost wanted to cry. At a certain point, I sensed empathy, compassion, like just like stroking her cheeks. At a certain point, I saw how the energy was going through the chakra points, and as my hands were on her belly, her belly started to blow up really big, like more and more. Let's say it became more and more like expanded. Like that's what I noticed, if I'm correctly. Yeah. Also what no, forget about that. Maybe that was just my own projection. Like this is the thing, like trying to explain all this, trying to interpret and share my experience, even though I'm learning, it's like, it's so ephemeral, you know. It's like it slides through your hands because it's so in the moment, and you can only try, but you can never succeed to fully verbalize what happened. You can only try. Why do I try? Because for me, it gives me like this extra layer to my own experience, extra layer of understanding, extra layer of, like, while I'm saying these words, I learn and understand more my own limitations. I see what I understand and what I don't understand. I see where my own thinking or my own perception is not clear. So it becomes more clear for me. So I externalize whatever is internally going on. So at certain points, I saw how the energy was moving through certain chakra points, like the lower ones, and it was like balancing it. Like, it was like the word balance came, and I saw how there was like energy balance. The energy centers were being like rebalanced. At certain point, like in inner dance, we learned this technique where when you hold the pulse of the participant and you feel the pulse and you feel the heartbeat, it's like by doing that, you energetically connect beyond your understanding. You do like a diagnosis. You feel into it, you tune into it, and you sense whatever's happening in the system. Right? If I remember the training correctly, whatever, you don't have to understand it even. It's just like whenever you're in that flow, like whatever I just said, it can be wrong, but whatever you do is you put your hands on the pulse and you just tune into the pulse and you sense it, you feel it, and you wait for the heartbeat and you just tune in more and more until you sense what's happening between the heartbeats, until you sense the start of the heartbeat, the end of the heartbeat, the in-between, the length, the rhythm, let's say the vibration, the movement of it, like all those layers. The more you perceive, the more you sense into it, and intuitively, without you having to overanalyze it, there's a new movement in you that's happening. That's like, whenever I was doing that, I felt her body was shaking a bit. Like I remember one of my participants in a previous session, she told me, when you did that, I felt it so in my heart. Like I felt it immediately. Like that connection, like something was happening, like whoa. So whenever I did it here, she was like shaking a little bit. She wasn't moving a lot. She was actually yawning a lot. And so the energy centers were being like balanced. There was more and more balance going on. And then at a certain point, it was so interesting. It's like the energy went into a certain energy center, and it was like concentrating on a certain kind of energy pattern or like some energy structure, and was pulling it out, letting it go, making it like there were sounds being made to like clear the space, or let's say neutralize the space. And there was like a new energy. It was like the hand was being held out, and there was like an image that a new energy form was being received, and then the energy was just like being put into that part and replaced. This is very interesting to experience that and to notice that. Like, I don't know what was happening, but it's very interesting. At certain points, like a phrase came like, "Dear guardian angels, please help this person." Like that phrase was being said, and it was energetically very alive, and I felt that something was present, that it was like a presence there. I at certain points I received like very vague visuals of an energy presence, but I don't recall it exactly. Like this changes. This changes from session to session. But yeah, like I felt so guided at certain points, especially the second part. Like at certain points, just my hand was making this mudra, just putting it in the air, and then I felt how there was like electricity or energy like connecting to my hand, going through my hand, and it was coming out of my other hand, and then that other hand was being placed here or anywhere. And it was just like I felt it and I sensed it and I saw it in my mind's eye, how the energy was going through that into there. Very interesting to see that, to feel that, to experience that. Yeah, I feel so humble. It's a strange thing to say, right? I feel so humble. How can you feel humble about that? What do I mean by that? I mean, I feel so such an appreciation for this person, for allowing me to support her in this way, and me supporting her in this way, it gives me this feeling that I'm a part of a bigger thing. I'm part of a whole, and that we're all helping each other, and just gives me this feeling of closeness, of warmth, of togetherness, of connection. Like connection is a really big thing in my life. For a very long time I felt very disconnected from myself, from community, especially the community around me, because growing up I was like an immigrant, right? And I could not accept that of myself. It was like as if that marked me or something. It was very difficult for me to connect, to accept myself. Because of that, I couldn't accept that other people would also accept me. So if I cannot accept myself, how can I believe that other people can accept me, right? So I never felt at home. I never felt like I belonged here. Made me feel very isolated. Made me feel very, like I was a lone wolf, trying to survive, trying to make it through, to find his tribe, to basically to not die. And there was always a longing for love and a sharing of love. But I always imagined that love would come from outside of me, that somebody would give me that love. And the more now that I am in a path, I really see that it's really all about healing your own blockages to love, healing your own blockages to self-love. And the more self-love, the more self-acceptance, the more the less judgment there is, the less self-hatred, not self-hatred, but self-judgment based on false beliefs or ideas. Because you can have like really deep judgments and ideas that are programmed because of your society, and they're active in your consciousness, they're active in your system, in your nervous system, and you may not be aware of whether they're valid or not, whether the way they're set up, they even have validity or not. So there's like a reaction, like you feel bad, you feel ashamed. But if you go into the subfolders, if you go to the root, like most people, they never go to the root and see where does this actually stem from, right? What's actually like the source of this. I remember like a very silly what do you call it, example. A friend of mine, I was telling him a story about a girl that I had like had interactions with, and he said she's a slut. He like there was that word was being used to mark her behavior, to say she is that because she does those things. And I was like, I understand what he's saying, and I can think it's funny because I know him, he's my friend, and he's saying it, but somewhere I know that that isn't true. Somewhere I know, even though she's behaving however she's behaving, I don't think that she's a quote-unquote slut. And I investigated that for myself, like, what does that mean? Where does that come from? And then it's like, the deeper you go into your subconscious, into your programming, into your like different positionalities, the deeper that you see, it's like, oh, in society, there are people who have certain behaviors. And like generally, there's like an agreement which is acceptable and which is not acceptable, right? And whatever is not acceptable is given a bad, quote-unquote, judgment or value. Like, that's an admirable person, somebody to look up to. But that person is unworthy or not worthy to look up to. It's like he has no self-worth, or he's no value, right? But like a woman who's having intercourse with different men or behaving very freely with her sexuality, it's just that, actually. It's just a woman who's sexually very open and who's just having sexually experiences. Now, the judgment that that is a slut is a made-up thing. It doesn't actually exist. Like, slut does not exist. Like, that word is made up, right? It's that context, that word is made up by who? By men, right? Well, I don't know exactly by who it was made up, but I mean, it's usually if you go and look at who is calling those women sluts, it's usually by men who want to control women, right? Who don't want them to do what they're doing because they see the women having a free sexuality, exploring it, enjoying it, and they themselves are not allowed to do that because of their conditioning, because of their imprint, because of their own judgments, because in their own systems. So they have that and they project that onto her. So everybody's projecting. So they're projecting their own conditioning and their own imprints onto women that they see. So, but in reality, right, when you see somebody having fun, expressing their sexuality or having pleasure or whatever, you light up. You light up and you actually, you enjoy it because you also want to experience that. But if somebody has told you that that's bad, that you're not allowed to do that, then of course there is irritation, there is judgment, there is like, I'm not allowed to do that, and they are allowed to do that. Why are they doing that? This is all happening unconscious. So immediately there's like this anger, this suppress, because of the suppression, because you actually want to, but you're not allowed to because of your own conditioning. So you're like, they're also not allowed to. So then what you do is you say, she's a slut. Like, that's how a slut behaves. You make her feel bad. You want to shame her into behaving in the way that you want her to behave. So that term is created to make her feel bad about her behavior. And if enough people do that, then she feels bad about it and then doesn't do whatever she feels like doing, right? But I realized, like, this term slut, it doesn't exist. And I expressed this to him, to my friend, and he was looking at me. He's like, man, you're going way too deep into that. It's like, some things, you just gotta leave them, they're just fine how they are. Like, no, it's not about that. It's like, everything has like a root, and it's all about awareness. So, yeah. I don't remember how I started to go into this concept, but the session itself today was freaking awesome. It was awesome. There was so much happening, and at the end, like, through this session, what I realized is my body's doing a lot of reiki during the inner dance session, and then at some points it's connecting with energy fields, and then the energy streaming, or there's an attunement, and then there's a lot of realignment happening. At certain points, there was like energy being like formed, like a ball, then like an energy ball being created and then put into the body and then realigned. It was, yeah, you feel so connected to a bigger part. You feel like, oh my God, this is like so beautiful to be involved in this. But you realize you're not doing it. You just realize you get to experience that. You get to feel that. And then at a certain point, at the end, there was just this feeling of like this, a voice that's like, it's done. And I just sit there, and the last two songs are playing. I'm just sitting there like this, like dropping into my heart, just staying in this quietness, and I start to see my own visions. I start to see my soulmate, start to see my twin flame. I start to see certain situations in my life, the training that I need to do, like something about a car, like certain things in my life that are currently very active. I start to see them like being played out, and I just resonate, feel like, this, okay, this, that. And then the session was over. I put some Palo Santo on, and yeah, so happy, so like open. And she was like, before there was like all this kind of thing here, and now it's like all open and free, like, I was like, okay, nice. So what I do is I always ask whoever's working to write me a review. So I asked her to write me a review, and yeah, feel so wonderful and so grateful to be able to go into these experiences with people. Yeah. Really eager to see how this will progress and evolve.